Hello, my name is Luc van 't Hof, Area Manager for Skalar Analytics. We're standing here in our laboratory for our 5th series of our frequently asked questions. Today we'll be handling our FORMACS series. So let's head up to the instruments. Okay, let's start. Question number 1. Why does Skalar have two different FORMACS models? Indeed, we have two FORMACS modules, the FORMACS HT and the FORMACS HTI. Let's zoom in on the FORMACS HT. It has the auto-sampler next to the instrument, and then the DOC analyzer besides it. Can be equipped with a TN detector into this. Let's zoom in quickly also on the FORMACS HTI. Hereby the auto-sampler is integrated into the instrument. If we zoom in a little bit more, the FORMACS HT has, as said, the out-sampler next to the instrument, whereby we have two sets of needles, one for the sparging and one for the sampling. So with this we can do, for instance, simultaneously sparging as well as sampling into this. We then have a top stirrer for stirring the sample before pickup, but underneath the instrument there is also a magnetic stirrer, as this instrument can also use the open cups, whereby we use the top stirrer, but we can also equip the instrument with closed cups, for instance 20 ml or 40 ml septum sealed vials into this, and for that we will need a magnetic stirrer. The sample introduction is done via the sampler on the side of it. The sample is transported through tubings into the instrument and then into the catalyst. Yeah, so here we have the FORMACS HTI. The I stands for that there is a difference in injection principle compared to the brother next to it. The difference in the injection principle is that this uses a direct sample introduction. So the sample is set up and the out sampler is also integrated into the instrument. The samples are set up either in closed or in open cups. So a 10 ml closed cup or an open cup into this. Sample is homogenized either by a magnetic stirrer or a top stirrer, then transported via the needle directly into the catalyst or into the IC reactor. Thereby you are able to run smaller sample volumes as well as extremely particle laden samples. This instrument is more suitable. Okay, question number 2. How does the instrument handle particle laden samples? Good question. Both instruments can handle particle laden samples, as well as both instruments can be set up with a bigger internal diameter needle of 800 micrometers. But if you're looking at extremely particle laden sample, as briefly discussed in question number 1, the FORMACS HTI with the direct injection principle is highly suitable for this. If the sample is more solid than liquid, we can also equip both of the instruments with an add-on module. So if the sample is more solid than liquefied, it's also possible to measure this with the add-on module, so the MCS module for the FORMACS series, whereby we can measure TC and TIC. So this is a manual module. If you have more samples, I would recommend to use the Primax SNC100 IC. Just look at our previous frequently asked video about more details about the Primax. Question number 3. How does the FORMACS handle cell line samples? To answer this question, we have to take a look on how challenging it would be to measure these cell line samples. Because the salts can affect, for instance, the combustion tube. The combustion tube is made out of quartz. Quartz with cations on a high temperature can make the quartz brittle. The salts could also cover the catalyst inside of the combustion tube, thereby making it inactive. And it's also possible to get a corrosion with these cell line samples. So how do we tackle this? First of all, the quartz reactor. We also have a ceramic reactor tube for this. Thereby, on the high temperatures, even with the cations, this won't become brittle, so giving a longer lifetime of the combustion tube itself. We can also lower the temperature of the reactor, thereby not melting the salts, but crystallizing this on top of it. Thereby it doesn't cover the catalyst anymore. The salts that crystallize on top of it, we can then flush out with a flush program after the analysis. Question number 4. What is the measurement principle of the TN detector? So as said before, the FORMACS HD and the FORMACS HDI can be equipped with a TN detector, standing here in the middle of it. The measurement principle is a chemical luminescence detection. This means that the NO gases from the combustion travel to the detector. This is mixed with ozone, thereby reacting into NO2 in a higher state. This higher state falls to ground state and thereby emitting a photon. This photon is then detected with the photon multiplier tube. This is a very stable and robust way of measuring, and it's a low maintenance detection. Question number 5. How does this software package help the operator? Good question. There are 3 different functions in the software that help the operator to ensure that the results are correct the first time. First one is the smart MPOC. It determines the ratio between IC and TC. For instance, if you have a low IC and a high TC, it automatically selects the TOC by difference. If it has a high IC but a low TC, it does the MPOC method. So what it does in the beginning, it analyzes quickly the ratio between IC and TC and then selects the correct method. Number 2 is the smart sparging. So with the NPOC, the sample is sparged, and to check if the sparging was sufficient, we check if there's still IC present inside the sample. If there's still IC present, we can add extra acid and redo the sparging. And then if there is no IC left inside the sample, we do the TC injection. Number 3 is the smart dilution. So we analyze the sample, and if the sample is then over range, we can check what's around the dilution factor we will need. Instead of a fixed dilution, we will add a variable dilution factor, thereby ensuring that we dilute the sample within the right measurement range to ensure that you measure the first time right. I hope you learned something today. If you have more questions, feel free to contact us on skalar.com, and thanks for watching.